Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about some homeschool curriculum. And not just any curriculum, but some curriculum for U.S. geography. So if that's something that you're looking for, which I know you are because right now is curriculum season in the homeschooling world. We are thinking and planning and purchasing and all those things when it comes to curriculum, doing all that research, but you do not have to look any further if you are looking for a U.S. geography curriculum, because I think I have just the thing for you. Now, if you've been around here for a while, you know that we love unit studies and we love to use Campfire curriculums. So before we even get started, I do want to say thank you to Campfire for reaching out to me, asking if I would share this. You know, if you've been here before, I do not share things on my channel that we do not use. I get emails every day from people wanting me to promote stuff on my channel, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not something I'd actually use. But if it's something that's tried and true, we use it in our home, we love it, it works, I do want to share it with you. So I do want to thank them for reaching out and sending this to me so that I can share it with you. We actually started their U.S. Geography series this past year, just doing it here and there. My goal for the geography is to combine the U.S. geography with some continent studies to give my high schooler a world geography credit. So you can use this for any age. So let's talk all about Campfire Curriculum's U.S. Geography series. Okay, so if you've used Campfire in the past, things are going to look kind of familiar to you, but there are a little bit of differences here and there than you'll see from some of their other units. So I am going to be looking down. I wanted to make sure I told you everything I could about it, so I did take some notes. So there are going to be 9 units in this geography series. Okay, so right now they're waiting on the last 2. So if you purchase this now, you've got plenty of content to cover. You don't have to worry about running out or not having enough for the year. The last 2 are the only ones they're waiting on. That means you have 7 units at your disposal to go ahead and start U.S. geography. Okay, so 9 units total will be in this series. These are very flexible, which is what I love about Campfire. You can use it for however it best fits your family. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Campfire if you don't know. So when you purchase anything from Campfire Curriculums, it comes to you as a digital file, and so you'll need to download it and print it out or send it to a print shop, or you can even, share it to your TV. I like to do that too. I usually print a copy because I'm just a paper girl. I like to hold it, have it in my hands. But I also like to share it to my screen in the living room where we do homeschool so that my son can see it as I'm reading it. So you could always print an extra book. It's really up to you. Okay, so it's super flexible in that way. You can use it however you want to. There are some things you do need to know about this series. So this series is 12 open and go lessons. So like I said, there's going to be 9 units total, 12 open and go lessons. One thing you do need to know about this series, though, is that all ages are going to use the same guidebook. So if you've used Campfire in the past and you've noticed that your kids had a different guidebook depending on their level, you're not going to do that for this one. Everybody's going to use the same guidebook. And just like in all their other units, and I'll show you this. Let me find a page that has it on there. Anytime you see colored font that is different from the black font is for everybody. The margins with the colored font are just going to be for your more mature learners, and so that's in this as well. So that's something to know. Another thing you need to know if you've used Campfire in the past are that this mini series here does not come with core connections. So if you've used units in the past and they come with those core connections to bring in your science and your language arts, these units do not have core connections. Okay, I want you to know that also. All right, so I'm just going to be honest with you. When I think about geography, I think about when I was in school and how boring it was to me. I never made any connection to it, and just was never brought to life. It was just a bunch of maps, a bunch of directions, and really just basic facts. Like filling in a sheet where you put the state bird and the capital, the state animal, all those kind of things, and you really do not make a connection to the place. Like it just, that's what I remember about geography. And when I started printing off these units and reading, I'm sorry, like some huge bird just flew over my house right here. Probably a hawk. We have hawks real bad. I'm sorry, I get distracted very easily. When I started looking through these units as I was printing them off, it was making me so excited because that's exactly what this is not. This is not boring. It's not a bunch of dry facts. It is not like any other geography curriculum out there. Just like everything else that Campfire does, it is so well thought out and so well done. You're going to hook everybody. There's going to be something in here for all of your kids, and even including you. You're going to love it. It is like nothing else out there. And so I'm going to put the link to the website where you can go straight to the geography series and you can read all about it and you can look at it for yourself so you can see if this is something that might work in your house. So let me tell you some more about this series. So this geography series is packed full of history. So you got a lot of American history in there. You've got science, you've got life skills, you've got economics, you've got important people, important places. Everything is going to be in here. There's going to be something for everybody. I'm telling you. One of the things I love about it is there's cooking included. So if you're one of these people that like to travel because you know you get to eat the food there, that's me. I am that person. There's certain places I love to go and it's because of the food. And so the cooking in here kind of takes you to that place if you cannot go there physically. So there's cooking. You're going to learn about their landscape. You're going to learn about their politics, important people. There's poetry and art studies. I'm just looking at all this stuff that's in here. Culture, state, national parks, landmarks, tons of stuff. They also mention in the whole write-up about it, and you can go read about it, that if you're already doing Histories Mysteries, which is one of their other units, these are really good follow-ups to that unit. So that might be something you could think about to combine history and geography. So this is what it looks like. This is the first unit, and of course, it wouldn't be true Home Sweet Homeschool if my printer didn't act up. So when I printed this one, the color was off. This is what it should look like. But my printer always likes to act up. So each state, when you print off the geography series, so like this is the New England states, and it tells you which states are included in the New England states. And then I have the Mid-Atlantic, and it's got the states that are included. And then I have the South Atlantic. So the other ones, Southeast, the Midwest Great Lakes, the Midwest Great Plains, Rocky Mountains, and then 8 and 9 are not released yet, okay? So those are the ones that, the 8 and 9 are coming. So when you open this up, you are going to, of course, have a table of contents. They all have that, and they tell you what states are going to be covered. And then you will have an important note. It's in the front of all of them, okay? And so this note is going to mention that there's a story. So the great thing about Campfire is it's very living book format, okay? You're going to be drawn into that story. There is a story in the prologue, okay, around a man who happened upon this fantastical world, and we get to see things through his eyes. The storyline is going to continue throughout this series. So throughout the geography series, you've got the storyline, okay? And it's always going to be in the prologue of the unit. So for this purpose, and it says it here, units in the series begin with a longer prologue in a fantasy style. Feel free to read the prologue in this unit as a lesson itself anytime before the unit begins. And so this could get your kids excited, ready to go. You've got the little story, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Now, it does say the storyline can be skipped. If you have a child that doesn't want to hear the story, or you just really want to get into the state study, you can skip it altogether, okay? So you can utilize it if you want to, or you can skip it. That's what makes Campfire so flexible. You do what you want to do. So it does say make sure that your kids know basic directions so that when those terms are used, they can follow and they understand. So that's going to help in the storyline and in the lesson content. So if you're thinking, okay, I don't really want to, do I have to go in order? if you want to follow this story, you're going to need to purchase these units and go in order, okay? If you more or less want to skip around based on your kid's interest or a vacation you're about to take or anything like that, then you would just skip the story. So you can skip around as long as you don't want to follow the story, okay? So in the first one, here's your prologue. And like they said, it's a story. One of the things I love about Campfire is you're going to have things throughout the unit, throughout the lesson, that'll say like, hey, do you want to hear what this guy's hearing, you know, as you're reading the story? And so it's going to direct you to their links page. And so all you have to do is pull up your camera and scan the QR code. It'll take you there. Or you can use the link that's at the bottom, and it's going to take you to that link page so that you can have access to any links you're going to need, whether it be video, website, picture, whatever it is. That links page is going to get you there, but you're going to have to purchase the unit first. You can't just go and use all the links and not purchase the unit. So this will direct you of when you need to go to the links page and get whatever it is that you need. So in the prologue, you're already using the links page, okay? So you can read the story if you want to. Then you have another important page. Like I said, this is in the first one. I'll have to look and see if it's in the other ones. We'll look at the other ones and make sure. So this just says, you know, all customers desire to learn different things regarding U.S. geography and states. And so, you know, people want to know about famous places, political climate, culture, cuisine, state parks. And so they don't want to leave any of it out, so they provided it all, and they set up the units so that you could easily hop over sections that you're not interested in. If it doesn't interest you to know those little dry facts, or you don't care about the political climate, you just want to learn about the state, you can skip over it. And there's a huge red thing here that says this unit does not come with separate core connections. It's not one of our regular units. It's a part of an ongoing mini unit series. So they let you know that up front, okay? So I did mention each state has 2 lessons. So when you cover a state, you're going to get a lesson 1 and a lesson 2. So we're going to look at what each state includes. And so I'm going to have this one in front of me, and then I'll hold up the other one. Okay, so this is the prologue in the second one. And my printer did so much better in this one. Okay, so before I talk about part 1, I forgot something. There is a link on the links page for a map. Now, I printed ours out, I think, into 6 pages, okay? So if you put this all together, you'll have this big U.S. map. Now, you can print it as small or as large as you want to, but you can get access to that on the links page. And so as you're going through each state, as you're listening, your kids can fill in the name of the state. You might want to do the abbreviation. You may want to do the capital. You may want them to draw a little picture that will help them remember the state, whatever it is. That's going to be something on the links page. And they do remind you of that. I'll show you right here. They tell you all about it right there. Okay? Now, let me show you each lesson. Okay? So here we go. This is lesson 1. This is of the second unit. So lesson 1 is called the tour guide. So for every state you do, the first lesson of that state's like the tour guide. And so they're going to tell you what the state is like, the landscape. You've got the capital, abbreviation, flower, state tree, bird, polarity, date of statehood, and state order. This is for New York, okay? Then it's going to tell you in the first lesson about bolded words. It's going to tell you about a reminder that you need to get that pre-printed map from the links page. And it does remind you that the color text is for the older learners, okay? So you're going to read through this and you're just going to be introduced to the state, okay? It's going to cover culture. It's going to talk about lifestyle and culture of that place, the weather, all that. So this is like, welcome to New York. This talks about it being the Big Apple. It talks about the boroughs that you can find in New York, the Brooklyn Bridge. One of the things I love about Campfire are these cool teacher moments. If you think back to your school experience and you had a teacher that you loved going to their class because they were the cool teacher who made learning so much fun, here's your chance to be the cool teacher, okay? So this says, check out the links page for a video of what this is like, with a bit of its history. So whatever it's, whatever you're covering here, there's a link that you can go and watch a video. And then you have another cool teacher moment where you can pause and listen to the sounds of New York City. If you've never been there, that's cool, especially if you live in a small town. Very, very different, okay? So you have the cool teacher moments. You have some locations like Central Park. You have a lot of fun facts. We're going to talk about the subway. This talks about upstate New York, because a lot of times kids just think about New York City when you mention New York. So this shows you some other places in New York that you don't normally think about. So lots of fun facts. And you're probably like, oh my goodness, that's a ton of pages for one lesson. So the great thing about Campfire is you can use it however you want to. They recommend setting a timer for 20 minutes and you do as much as you can. And then the next time you pick it up, you just continue from where you left off. You can use it however you like. So if this is too much for your kids to sit through, you can take a break and come back to it the next day. So this is all lesson 1. Here's your culture corner right here. So you're going to cover culture. And it says there's 2 cultures in the state, those of New Yorkers who are from the city and those from New York State, which is the rest of the state. So it's going to talk about all of that. And then I love this part. The other part that's included is called like extra, and it's news from the state. See, it looks like it's on an old little newspaper. And this is New York News Ghostly Tales. And so there is a parental advisory warning if your kids, you don't want to read this to your kids or share it with your kids. That's okay. And then it does say this ends the first part of the lesson. You can come back tomorrow for part 2. You can complete it now, whatever you want to do, okay? So that's lesson 1. And then let me show you lesson 2. So we're still in New York, remember, because each state gets 2 lessons. So in the second lesson, and this does say parental discretion advised if it's a topic that might not be good for your young learners or someone who's sensitive. All right, so part 2 is going to include what formed this state. So the people, the history, the important people, the important art. Some lessons might have a heavier reading section. Others may focus on art or poetry, literature or picture studies. It's also going to highlight some state parks. You will have your think tank. If you're familiar with Campfire, you know there's a think tank and a faith talk. And so that's your critical thinking and your devotions. That's going to be a part of the second lesson. And then the activities. And we'll get to all of that, okay? So here's lesson 2, the figures that formed us. This talks about the Civil War here. This does say older students can read the box below. For younger students, you can skip over it. And so, you're just learning more about the state. You have another cool teacher moment. It says, want to see what it would feel like to be in this kind of draft. Get 2 jars. So another cool teacher moment there. And then so if you see like all the black font is for everybody, and then you'll see the colored font. This is for your older kids or your older, more mature learners. This talks about money. And then you've got your faith talk. So this says, let your day end by coming together and focusing on the Lord. And then your think tank is your critical thinking, ethics, or family discussion. Now, let's get into the activities. So as far as activities go, when it comes to Campfire, you can do them all. You can pick and choose. You can decide you want to do one before the lesson, one after the lesson, one in the middle of the lesson. You can choose to do none at all. It really doesn't matter. That's how flexible it is. Like I always tell my son, whatever floats your boat. Do y'all say that? Like, is that just something we say in the South, or does anybody say that? You just do whatever works out best for you. So if you want to do them all, do them all. If you want to just do some, or you want to do none, that's okay too. So if you love food, like I do, this is what's fun. They give you the background for the food. So that's at the top. So this is the soft pretzel. So they give you the background for it. Then they give you the ingredients you need and how to make it. Now, I don't like to cook. I don't mind cooking. I hate baking. And so I don't think I would be able to make my own pretzel, but could I go and purchase this at the store and we could try it? Absolutely. I think it would be so much fun to have the food and try it as you're reading about the state. That's fun. So you've got the pretzel, and then you've, of course, got bagels. And so they give you the background on that and how to make that and some suggestions. And then if cooking is not your thing, sorry, or you have picky eaters like my son, then they do have other activities you can do. So this is for older students. It's a mini metropolis. It's highly recommended for older students. It's a project that would take a lot of hours and days, but it is priceless learning, it says. So their objective is to learn about urban planning, architecture, and sustainability by building a model cityscape of New York. It says this will allow them insight into actual career fields that deal with urban development as well as zonings and restrictions. So it goes over zoning, infrastructure, transportation, sustainability. And this tells you, exactly how to do it. Are your kids going to be done with this in your first lesson? No, this is something they're going to work on maybe throughout the entire time you're learning this unit, going through this unit. So that could be a lot of fun, and they're learning so much. Then for all students, if that's kind of not your thing, for all students, they're doing artistic culture. This is for all the kids, and it talks about how a lot of their history and present is art. So it talks about the Met and museums, and so it tells you what materials you need, instructions, and then adaptations for younger and older kids. Now, what I really like is at the end of all of the lessons, you have a bucket list activity. And this might be the only activity you want to do. You may just want to eat and do the bucket list. So the bucket list activity is you're going to start it today. And if they don't know what a bucket list, that's just a list of your goals or things that you want to accomplish during your lifetime. And so this could be places you want to visit or things you want to do when you get there. And so each lesson with an activity will provide an opportunity to add to your bucket list. Okay, so it says when you get to each state, you create your bucket list of things you would like to do if you ever visited that state. And there are a lot of ideas, and I'll show you. You can tear out each item on your list so that it has its own slip, or you could go ahead and have slips of paper. You could have them make a list on their phone, whatever you want to do. You place all the slips from that state into an envelope, paper, plastic bag, whatever. You would label it with the state name, so everybody puts in their bucket list ideas for New York of places they'd want to see or go. You put an envelope and you write the state on the outside, and you could put it inside a box or wherever, just so if you're planning a vacation, you could pull out this envelope if you wanted to. Envelope, whatever it is, you pull it out. Okay, then at the end of the unit or at the end of the entire series, let's say we finish all of U.S. geography, or we're just trying to plan a vacation for the year, you could pull out one of those states and plan a trip to that state. It says everyone will find their bucket list envelope for the state and blindly pull out one or two strips of paper, so everybody makes one. Whatever strips are pulled will determine what you do, and you could certainly do that unless everything is spread out. And so you may have to say, okay, we need to find stuff to do in this area of the state. But it's a good way to dream and to think and to plan trips, okay? So if you do the bucket list stuff, they give you a lot of options. And so you could go through each of these with your kids or just have it out for them to look at. Of course, it recommends the Statue of Liberty. There's some other places that are not just in the city, even though I do love the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Even though I'm not a museum, like an art museum person, I do like that. Of course, you've got, you have the Grand Central Terminal, which is amazing if you've never been. We have the High Line, One World Observatory, Culinary Institute of America, Museum of Modern Art. There's a Museum of Glass, the Storm King Art Center, Cross Island Chapel, Secret Subway Exit, Spyscape, City Hall Subway Station, the Morgan and Library Museum, Ellis Island, Museum of Ice Cream, which sounds like a delight. I mean, who wouldn't want to go there? Old Fort Niagara. Here's a state historic site, President Roosevelt, Vanderbilt Museum. There's a castle. I mean, they include all kinds of stuff, not just your touristy things that you go see in New York when you go. But they do recommend going into the ethnic areas like Chinatown and all that, which are amazing. Coney Island, if you've never been, that is somewhere to see. The Guggenheim Museum, and then there's also small towns that it recommends. And so it gives you a ton of options, and that's for every state, not just New York, but every state that you cover. So they're amazing. They're so good. And so what we've been doing, the way that we use it is as a read aloud in the morning before we start our other work. I just pick it up and we read until I can see I'm losing my son's interest. And we did start with the first one because that's the only one I had. And I was like, okay, he doesn't care for the story as much, where I sat and read the story. he doesn't care so much. So I'm like, you can choose whichever state you want to. So in the first one, there's Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. He chose Maine because he likes Stephen King. He reads a lot of his books. That's where Stephen King's from. A lot of the movies are set in fictional Maine towns. And so that's where we started. And so we just read the lesson. Usually I can get through the whole lesson with him because he is a high schooler. And what I've got him to do, he does fill in the map. And then the other thing is I bought this narration notebook. Now, do you need this? No. Would any notebook work? Absolutely. Just a blank sheet of computer paper would work. A piece of notebook paper, any would work. But I have a problem. I like School Nest notebooks, okay? So this could be used with anything. And I do have this linked in my Amazon store, along with some other books that would be helpful and games that would go along with this world geography, U.S. geography stuff, okay? So he didn't want me to show you his, but what I do is after we have read both lessons about the state, this spot up here is a great place for him to draw things that help him connect to that state. So a lighthouse, or he might, do a cover of Stephen King's book, whatever it is that helps him remember it. He can draw one picture or a bunch of little pictures, and then I just ask him to write what he remembers about the state. What stuck out to you about the state? Is there somewhere you'd like to visit? And so that's what I like about this book. It isn't necessary. You can use whatever you want to. So that's going to be linked in my Amazon storefront all the time. And that's how we use it. So you're not going to find worksheets in this. Campfires, they don't do worksheets. You can read all about how, real learning takes place from doing and experiencing. And so there's no worksheets, okay? So I like to use this just to document our learning. Your kids could make collages. They could cut things out from these units. I mean, the possibilities are endless. They're endless. Another thing I wanted to mention, we talked about the links page, but also on the links page, you're going to find book lists. You're going to find scope and sequence. If there are core connections, you find the links to that on there, but there's not for this series. But I really want you to check them out. If you are looking for geography for US, you have got to check out this series. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you. I have mine in these flex binders. If you haven't checked out a flex binder, you need to. I do love my Pro Click, and I just have like these little hard, let me show you. They're right here. I have these little hard plastic ones, and I know that you can buy other kinds, but I don't like spending more money. And so these are always, pretty thick, and they're usually too thick for those type spirals. And so I like these because I like to be able to fold it back. I want to be able to hold it and fold it back and read it. And you can't do that in like a hard plastic binder, but you can in these flex binders. And so that's what I like to put mine in. Plus it's just so much easier to 3-hole punch and throw it in a binder. So I just have each of mine in one of these. You can tell I like them. We got all colors. And another note, if you like to thrift, you can sometimes find these at the thrift store. So I think I found like 1 or 2 at our Goodwill before. So wipe them off with a Clorox wipe, you're ready to go. So anyway, that is the US Geography series from Campfire. Like I said, I'm going to link their website if you've never been. Check out the Geography series, but also check out all the other things they have to offer. They have so many wonderful units. They have a planner. You got to check them out. So just take some time and browse. Check out this Geography series. If you have any questions about how to use Campfire, or you want to see inside some of the units, I do have flip throughs. I talk about how we use it. If you have any questions about this Geography series, leave them in the comments. And if I don't know the answer, I will reach out to one of them over at Campfire, because they are so helpful and they will answer your questions for you. You can also join the Campfire crew over at on Facebook. They also have an Instagram. So there are ways to get in touch with them, and they are more than willing to help you out. So anyway, I hope you like this series. If you want to see more of a flip through, if me just showing you the first 2 lessons wasn't enough and you're like, I want more, I want to see the insides of them, let me know that also. And as always, thank you so much for watching.